In the chilling, ever-present quiet of the night, when the rest of the world has receded into slumber, and we are left alone with the stark, unyielding gaze of the universe, a question arises from the deepest, most fortified chambers of our consciousness. It is not a trivial query, but the central gravitational pull of all human thought. What truly awaits us after the final, inevitable severance of life's connection? This is not a request for a comforting fairy tale or a generalized religious reassurance about a distant, nebulous paradise. We are seeking the truth behind the brutal, visceral fact, the concrete experiential reality of our immaterial core in the precise, profound moment, the last, infinitesimally thin thread binding us to this temporal existence is decisively broken. This haunting inquiry is more than just a philosophical puzzle. It is the fundamental uncertainty that has cast a long, complex shadow over the human race since the first hominid contemplated the finality of a fallen ancestor. Now, in the hypermodern context of the 21st century, where the practice of cremation has rapidly evolved from a cultural rarity to a practical, increasingly chosen method of disposal, this age-old existential doubt acquires an alarming new degree of urgency and complexity. We must ask, with unwavering precision, what intricate processes unfold in those critical micro-moments throughout those harrowing hours and during the absolutely pivotal 3 days that immediately follow physical death, especially when the body is delivered quickly to the intense, annihilating heat of the furnace. Does the soul, our immortal essence, feel the physical or energetic violence? Is there a conscious, immediate awareness of the rapid disintegration of its former vessel? Is the dominant sensation overwhelming pain, a terrifying, paralyzing dread, or perhaps a sudden, chaotic liberation? For generation after generation, society has conditioned us to either suppress these colossal, terrifying questions with an unexamined, often fear-driven faith, or to resign ourselves to a silent, unaddressed terror of the unknown. But what if I were to tell you that there is, in fact, an established, coherent spiritual framework, a monumental repository of meticulously collected testimonies, painstakingly organized and logically synthesized revelations that offers an irrefutable, detailed account? This body of knowledge was provided by an individual who devoted his entire, often persecuted life to serving as the clear, rational bridge between the dense material world and the luminous, complex reality of the spiritual realm, establishing himself as a singular, unparalleled source of spiritual and metaphysical knowledge. For those who can appreciate the immense depth and rigorous methodology behind this enduring mystery, this man, Allan Kardec, was not a simple purveyor of occult folklore. He was demonstrably the first genuine cartographer of the spiritual universe. He provided humanity with the most breathtakingly coherent and rationally structured descriptions of the life's profound and continuous nature. It is the challenging yet deeply insightful and comforting framework of his revelations, a distillation of thousands of consistent spirit communications, that must serve as our exclusive guide today on this intense and compelling journey into the forbidden territories of transition. Our crucial mission over the course of the next period of intense focus is not to indulge in trivial debates about personal assumptions or vague hopes. Our task is to dive completely exposed and without pretense directly into the heart of the deepest, most complex mystery of the post-mortem transition. Specifically, what the soul genuinely, consciously, and intensely experiences during the 3 initial and absolutely pivotal days following the rapid disposal of its physical container into the high heat of cremation. Prepare yourself thoroughly, for the truth that was painstakingly revealed is exponentially more impactful, more rationally profound in its structure, and far more emotionally complex and challenging than any simplified legend or superficially comforting myth you have ever chosen to believe. To properly commence this profound exploration into the nature of existence after death, we must first adopt a necessary spiritual paradigm shift and rigorously redefine the concept that the Kardecist doctrine refers to as the disincarnation. This concept demands that we radically alter our perception of our physical body's true role. Imagine with the utmost clarity that this dense, complex biological structure, with all its nervous systems, organs, and chemical processes, is, in its totality, nothing more than a highly specialized temporary vehicle. For the sake of this detailed analogy, consider it a car. It may be a state-of-the-art gleaming luxury sedan maintained in pristine condition by a disciplined owner, or conversely, it might be a battered, aging wreck, its engine coughing and its chassis heavily rusted by years of neglect, excessive demands, and careless driving through rough terrains. The soul, which is the eternal, immutable core of your true identity, the seat of reason, morality, and true consciousness, is undeniably the skilled driver, the conscious, intelligent entity that operates the controls, dictates the speed, and chooses the direction of this complex vehicle. According to this spiritual science, death, therefore, should never, under any circumstances, be misinterpreted or emotionally categorized as the complete annihilation or the final cessation of the driver's existence. It is, purely and simply, the critical, precise instant when the engine of the physical car, the dense biological mechanism, gives its final, irreparable gasp, ceasing all vital mechanical, circulatory, and neurological function. It is imperative that we recognize and actively avoid the monumental and pervasive error that dominates popular, unexamined thought, the romantic but fundamentally flawed assumption that the driver, the soul, instantaneously and effortlessly leaps out of the damaged vehicle, feeling immediately liberated, weightless, and instantly possessing a full, clear, lucid consciousness of their newly altered spiritual state. The meticulous process of absolute separation, the crucial and complex disengagement of the spirit from the material envelope, is far from an instantaneous event or a simple chemical reaction. It is, by its inherent spiritual and fluidic nature, a gradual, often internally turbulent and intensely complex storm of energetic realignment. This is the exact crucial juncture where the majority of unprepared or unexamined minds are violently confronted by a complex reality that dramatically and forcefully clashes with their neat, simplified, and deeply cherished preconceptions of an immediate, effortless spiritual freedom. The disincarnation, understood correctly, is a comprehensive, multi-phased mechanism of slow, necessary withdrawal, not a sudden, clean, and simple spiritual snap. It is the beginning of a new complex period of transition, not the simple end of a former one. This foundational understanding sets the stage for grasping the subsequent processes of spiritual withdrawal and the immediate energetic consequences of intervening in those natural processes, such as with rapid cremation. To truly grasp the dynamics of post-mortem transition, we must introduce and meticulously define the concept of the perispirit, which serves as the indispensable link between the immaterial soul and the material body. The extensive spiritual communications, carefully collated and categorized by Kardec through countless cross-referenced reports and testimonies from diverse sources, consistently teach us that the core of our being, the intelligent, conscious soul, is not anchored directly to the crude, dense biological flesh. Instead, it is attached, stabilized, and mediated to the physical body by a highly specialized, subtle, and etheric double. This fundamental intermediary component is known universally within the spiritual framework as the perispirit. You should conceptualize it not as an opaque shadow, but as a perfect, energetic, and fluidic carbon copy or matrix of your physical organism. It acts as an invisible, non-physical mold that precisely reproduces and energetically sustains every single organ, every neurological pathway, and every last cell that constitutes your dense physical form. It is, in essence, our vital, subtle body, a suit meticulously woven from semi-materialized cosmic fluid, which provides the necessary interface, the complex bridge, that permits the truly immaterial soul to interact with the dense molecular mass of the material world and simultaneously allows it to navigate and manipulate the complex higher vibrational realities of the spiritual planes. Crucially, the complex energetic connection that maintains the spirit strongly bound to the physical structure is absolutely nothing like a simple binary electrical switch that can be summarily turned off with a single click, a medical pronouncement, or a casual command. Conversely, this tenacious, essential binding is structurally maintained by tens of thousands of complex, meticulously interconnected energetic ties, filaments of pure light and fluidic matter that are individually exceedingly fine, delicate, yet collectively possess an immense resilient spiritual strength. These vital, numerous connections demand a structured, sequential process of gradual loosening, systematic retraction, and definitive, necessary severance. This process must occur if the transition is to be gentle, with extreme delicacy, one single filament at a time. The successful completion of this slow, necessary, energetic withdrawal is an absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for the separation to be achieved in a harmonious, gentle, and utterly complete manner. Without this slow, deliberate, natural retraction of energy, the core essence of the spirit remains traumatically tangled, painfully pulled back, and energetically weighed down by the stubborn residue of its physical anchor, even long after the cessation of all biological function. The perispirit, therefore, is the key to understanding both the peace of a gentle death and the chaos of a traumatic one. As has been thoroughly established, the final, definitive, and complete disconnection of the spirit from the material body is, contrary to popular belief, neither an immediate nor an instantaneous event. It is a profoundly complex process that unfolds through meticulously structured sequential stages, and it fundamentally demands a significant and non-negotiable expenditure of time for the thousands of subtle energetic filaments, which we describe as the binding ties, to fully release their grip and completely retract into the spiritual envelope. The soul is not granted an automatic, swift liberation upon death's announcement. Rather, it is compelled to navigate a period of prolonged disengagement that can last for hours and, crucially, often extends throughout the first few critical days after the physical heart has sounded its very last beat. The spiritual teachings emphatically insist that this slow motion, often agonizing process is a turbulent, inevitable necessity, a massive and complex internal reorganization of the very energy that constitutes the being's connection to the lower vibrational world. What is almost universally and consistently observed in detailed spirit communications is that the perispirit, being the energetic matrix and subtle blueprint of our form, remains so intimately and densely fused with the coarse material body that the primary consciousness of the spirit remains stubbornly focused and anchored on this decaying union. The spirit resists, powerfully and often unconsciously, the raw, immediate, and terrifying reality of the definitive separation. The feeling reported by spirits is one of being stretched, pulled apart, or violently constrained. The spiritual world may beckon and call, but the dense, energetic anchor, the perispirit's remaining connection to the matter, holds fast, imposing a severe temporal and energetic drag on the soul. This initial phase of resistance means the soul is often hovering just above or near the body, still trying to interact with the environment through the sensory input it is accustomed to. This resistance phase, governed by the strength of the lingering energetic ties, is what makes the first 72 hours so critical. It is the natural window required for the loosening to occur organically, allowing for a gentle rather than a forced extraction of the soul. Understanding this slow pace is paramount to understanding the subsequent energetic trauma of a rushed transition. The crucial variable that most profoundly determines both the duration and the absolute energetic intensity of this separating agony is, unequivocally and without room for doubt, a single, powerful, and determinant factor: the individual's accumulated level of material attachment maintained throughout the entirety of their incarnate life. This is the spiritual law of cause and effect applied directly to the moment of transition. Souls who, through philosophical discipline and moral effort, manage to conduct their existence with a degree of internal lucidity, exhibiting a genuine working detachment from transient worldly possessions and nurturing a deep-seated active consciousness of their inherent, immortal spiritual nature, initiate the process of separation in a manner that is far quicker, exponentially smoother, and remarkably gentle. For these prepared individuals, the arduous disengagement process is often experienced almost like a fluid, smooth and effortless glide out of a comfortable, no longer needed overcoat at the end of a long journey. Their perispirit, being less entangled with dense matter, is able to retract its filaments rapidly. However, for the overwhelming majority of individuals, those who lived their entire lives deeply immersed in petty, obsessive worldly anxieties, consumed by jealous, possessive affections, addicted to fleeting, sensory pleasures, or deeply rooted in daily vices and material gain, This essential disengagement tragically converts itself into a slow, agonizing, protracted form of torturous extraction. It is precisely at this moment of spiritual dragging and stubborn resistance that the true intense onset of post-mortem suffering begins its terrible, undisputed jurisdiction. The material anchor of the perispirit, having been reinforced and solidified by a lifetime of material obsession, deep-seated desire, and unexamined habits, refuses to naturally relinquish its hold. This resistance converts what should be a natural fluid transition into a forced, painful extraction of the spirit from the body's influence. The degree of spiritual distress is directly proportional to the strength of the bonds forged by selfishness, materialism, and unbridled passion. Therefore, the spiritual reality is that the suffering upon transition is not a punishment inflicted by an external force, but rather the inevitable, natural, energetic consequence of the spirit's own prior choices and persistent fixations. In the immediate chaotic moments following the verified cessation of the final heartbeat, and often extending throughout the first long, disorienting hours, the transitioning soul frequently enters a critical state that spiritual mentors have meticulously defined and consistently categorized as one of deep perturbation. This complex condition is, at its core, nothing less than a genuine state of profound psychic chaos, an overwhelming, confusing amalgamation of absolute denial regarding the change, coupled with a dense, paralyzing confusion regarding the new surroundings. The individual, now existing entirely as an immaterial spirit, finds themselves utterly incapable of logically processing the immense, paradigm-shifting magnitude of the transition that has just occurred in their reality. This disoriented soul may instinctively, desperately attempt to shout or communicate with the grieving family members physically gathered around the inert body or casket, only to experience the profound humiliation and incomprehension of being completely ignored, as their voice and presence remain totally imperceptible to the living. Other spirits may instead experience an overwhelming rush of debilitating somnolence, a deep, heavy, and inescapable lethargy that drags them down into a kind of semi-conscious, dreamlike state. Or, in the most tragic cases, they may find themselves hopelessly trapped in a relentless, torturous loop, endlessly and vividly reliving the final, most traumatic or fearful instance of their physical life in an uncontrollable, repeating cycle of memory. The initial moments of disincarnation, contrary to poetic ideals, are therefore rarely marked by an immediate luminous joy or full clarity, but are most often dominated by this terrifying, pervasive sense of fundamental loss, profound unreality, and intense emotional and sensory turmoil, where the spirit, still trapped in the perispirit's anchor, cannot logically distinguish the definitive end of life from a particularly vivid, terrifying dream or hallucination. This is the acute phase of spiritual disorientation. A profoundly confusing aspect of the initial post-mortem phase is the persistence of sensory and physical connection. Despite the physical body now lying completely inert, cold, and biologically lifeless, the spirit retains an intense, powerful, and lingering sensation of still being intimately located within or immediately adjacent to the physical form. This persistent, misleading perception is not caused by any latent biological function within the physical corpse, but rather because the perispirit, the energetic copy, the subtle blueprint of the form, remains tenaciously and strongly linked to the material structure. It continues to act as an invisible, immensely strong energetic anchor that refuses to relinquish its decades-long hold. The core consciousness of the being is undeniably present and active, yet it is severely compromised. It is blurred, terribly hazy, and profoundly clouded, akin to being mentally trapped within a high-grade fever dream that feels agonizingly and terrifyingly real and inescapable. This is a moment of extreme acute vulnerability, where the newly released spiritual mind desperately and fruitlessly attempts to reconcile the new, strange reality of its spiritual environment, an environment where it is invisible and inaudible, with the deeply ingrained physical-like sensations that it continues to perceive through its anchored perispirit, thereby creating a spiritual and intellectual dissonance that is almost unbearable. This state of intense, unstable transition is precisely when, driven by worldly planning and medical necessity, the final permanent decision for cremation is frequently executed, often just hours after death, completely unaware of the profound and potentially devastating energetic consequences of acting with such haste at this most fragile and crucial moment of spiritual extraction. The soul is not a detached observer. It is a confused, suffering occupant still intimately bound to the rapidly departing and soon-to-be destroyed vehicle. We now approach the most sensitive and energetically critical topic, the action of cremation, particularly when executed on the first day, before the natural process of spiritual disengagement is complete. The vast and consistent spiritual source meticulously compiled by Kardec has been unequivocally clear in its vital communications. The soul itself, being immaterial, does not feel the localized, agonizing physical sensation of the fire. It possesses neither the nerves nor the flesh, nor the biological apparatus necessary to register burning. However, the pain it experiences is of an entirely distinct, non-physical nature and is infinitely more profound. It is, fundamentally, a shriek from the very essence of the being, an agonizing, purely energetic anguish, a sudden, violent, perispiritual shock so intense and disruptive that it possesses the power to utterly paralyze the transitioning spirit. To illustrate this energetic violation, consider the analogy of the delicate knot. Imagine you are carefully and patiently attempting to untie the most delicate, complex knot of your life, meticulously loosening the thousands of individual threads one by one. Suddenly, a violent external force approaches, and with merciless brute speed, summarily severs the entire cord with a sharp blade. The binding is broken, of course, but the ends are left horrifically frayed. The integrity of the cord is irreparably damaged, and the spiritual energy is shattered. Cremation, when performed before the essential, multi-filamented fluidic bonds have been completely and naturally loosened and retracted, acts precisely as that brutal, external, severing force. The spirit does not register the physical, intense heat of the furnace on its ethereal skin, but it profoundly suffers the catastrophic, energetic repercussions of the sudden, aggressive, and complete disintegration of the material body. The sensation consistently described in mediumistic works is not one of a slight discomfort or mild heat. It is likened to a sudden, overwhelming electrical short circuit that runs through the very structure of the perispirit, resulting in total and absolute disorientation, a terrifying, sudden sensation of being brutally and traumatically ripped away from one's own self without any prior warning or chance to brace for impact. This acute, externally induced trauma, inflicted directly upon the structure of the perispirit, represents a massive and significant energetic setback for the spirit's immediate journey and its subsequent ability to regain lucidity. The categorical, powerful, and repeated insistence by the spiritual source and by all documented benevolent spiritual mentors regarding the widely recognized waiting period of 72 hours, our crucial 3 days, is not fundamentally a superstitious decree, a cultural ritual, or a quaint, unfounded old wives' tale. It is, in profound spiritual fact, a critical, non-negotiable recommendation based upon the most urgent and detailed physiological understanding of the perispirit's natural process. The conscious observance of this sacred window of time is characterized as an act of supreme love and mercy toward the transitioning soul. It constitutes a desperate ethical plea for genuine patience, motivated by the sole paramount purpose of allowing the essential energetic disengagement to occur in the most natural, unforced, gentle, and complete manner possible. The overarching vital objective is to meticulously and consciously avoid inflicting a trauma upon the delicate, fluidic structure of the perispirit, a trauma that, when measured in the vast, continuous scope of spiritual time, could tragically take many years, perhaps even entire decades, of painstaking spiritual therapy to be truly healed, repaired, and reintegrated. Prudence and conscious delay at this specific, hypercritical moment are the unequivocal keys to ensuring the immediate and necessary tranquility, lucidity, and well-being of the spirit who has just embarked upon its journey back to the true, continuous life. The spiritual science affirms that by respecting this time, we are prioritizing the eternal, spiritual welfare of our loved one over any temporal, material, or logistical convenience of the living. This period is a necessary spiritual grace period. Once the acute, violent initial shock of the first day, especially following a premature cremation, has been partially absorbed and passed, the inevitable period of the second and third post-cremation days begins, bringing a new set of challenges. The prevalent state that follows for the majority of souls who have been subjected to this violent energetic rupture is one of even deeper mental confusion and profound, debilitating spiritual exhaustion. The perispirit, which serves as the fundamental vehicle for the spirit's identity on the spiritual plane and the primary mediator of its sensations, often manifests what are consistently described as severe energetic lesions, deep fractures, or a state of profound dissolution. The soul, having lost its most powerful material anchor and having experienced the shock of its perispirit's partial destruction, feels utterly adrift, aimlessly floating, or desperately clinging in a vast, featureless spiritual void without any reliable or recognizable frame of reference. This experience is akin to a traveler who awakens abruptly in a completely foreign country, where they do not speak the language, possess no map, and have absolutely no idea how they arrived, or, most frighteningly, where they are supposed to go next. This chaotic state of disoriented wandering, often compounded by the deep spiritual fatigue from the struggle, can rapidly plunge the spirit into deep existential despair, a terrifying sense of abandonment and the profoundest sadness, all stemming from the abrupt, traumatic loss of its fundamental material points of reference. The second and third days are often a desolate time of spiritual convalescence, where the soul desperately seeks reconnection or lucidity amidst the lingering energetic residue of its former existence. It is precisely at this exact point of maximum fragility, acute vulnerability, and deepest despair, the lowest ebb of the post-mortem transition, that the most vital and profoundly inspiring aspect of the spiritual revelations manifests with its full, powerful force. The transitioning spirit is never in any meaningful sense truly alone. During this crucial period of immediate need, entire legions of Amparadores Espirituais, spiritual helpers or rescuers, highly trained specialists who function as dedicated nurses, psychologists, and expert recovery teams from the higher, more luminous planes of existence, significantly and tirelessly intensify their operations of relief and aid. They meticulously approach these severely fragmented, confused souls, gently enveloping them in fields of pure energy that are intensely calming, profoundly soothing, and intensely pacifying. Working with the immense, infinite patience of divine artisans, they diligently seek to mend and restructure the damaged, fractured perispirit and transmit powerful, structured waves of peace and serenity directly into the soul's consciousness. But crucially, in this moment of extreme existential necessity, we, the living who remain on earth, enter the scene with a form of immense, powerful energy that we can scarcely begin to fully comprehend: the focused, pure act of prayer. The sincere, deeply felt prayer originating from the loved ones is described by spirits as acting literally like a targeted, highly concentrated laser beam of pure light that pierces the surrounding spiritual darkness. When you consciously kneel or simply think with profound, focused fervor of someone who has recently departed, you are not merely sending insignificant, unheard words into the cosmos. You are actively discharging a massive charge of pure, focused, energetic intention. This is a potent psychic balm of light, love, and spiritual reinforcement that instantly strengthens and buttresses the transitioning soul's energetic field. Furthermore, this focused prayer acts simultaneously as a luminous, undeniable GPS beacon for the spiritual rescue teams, allowing them to precisely locate, stabilize, and assist the troubled spirit with dramatically increased precision, speed, and effectiveness. As the demanding, intense journey of these initial 3 days of spiritual battle finally comes to a necessary close, the immediate process of transition begins, mercifully, to stabilize and resolve. For the soul that was granted the sacred, essential time to disengage gently and naturally, or even for the soul that, despite the premature shock of a rapid cremation, received the constant, powerful reinforcement of fervent prayer and the intervention of benevolent helpers, a new, clearer phase of consciousness begins to slowly, inexorably dawn. The initial chaotic, paralyzing confusion eventually yields its place to an incipient, growing clarity and lucidity. The intense, gnawing anguish gradually transforms, if not completely vanishing, into a profound and often immensely liberating acceptance of the new, altered spiritual condition. The spirit begins, consciously, to perceive the imposing, compassionate presence of its appointed guides, and may joyfully or tearfully begin to reunite with deeply cherished family members and dear friends who had departed before them. It understands finally and definitively, with an unshakable certainty, that the life it knew has not been terminated. It has simply undergone a profound, necessary, and vital transformation into a new, eternal, and continuous phase of existence. The great and final incontestable revelation bequeathed by this deep, rational source of knowledge is not, therefore, a simplistic, moralistic judgment on whether cremation is inherently a forbidden act, as cremation is merely the ultimate fate of the transient, borrowed physical shell. The central, singular issue, the only one that truly, eternally matters, is the ultimate well-being, tranquility, and deserved respect for the spirit's immediate transition needs. It is fundamentally a spiritual battle cry for prudence, deep affection, and the absolute honoring of the sacred, non-negotiable time required for the natural disconnection. Death is neither an annihilation nor an arbitrary final punctuation mark. It is quite simply a profound, critical doorway, and pure, unconditional love, consciously channeled through focused thought and prayer, is the sole, powerful key capable of opening it with genuine gentleness, spiritual safety, and without inflicting lasting, avoidable trauma. The human pain of longing and physical absence is an inevitable part of the living experience, but that profound ache can be consciously transformed into the unwavering certainty that your active love is the most brilliant, most reliable guiding lighthouse for your cherished loved one as they embark upon their new everlasting dawn.